Hello and welcome to The Rested Life. This is Rashad Burden, and I'm so very happy that you have decided to join us today. We have a very just spirited and intentional conversation on today, and I'm excited for our guest. He may be familiar to some of you, but he is a not just a good friend to me, but a mentor and a father figure to me. And some of you may know him from Married at First Sight on Lifetime. His name is Pastor Cal, Pastor Calvin Roberson. He pastors the Progression Church in Atlanta, Georgia. He is the husband of one wife and the father to three children. I feel like I'm giving him a whole pastoral introduction right now, but I'm just so excited. And we're bringing him in today because the fact of the matter is, when it comes to living a rested life, some people believe that they do, and then other people believe that they don't need church. And as I just meditated and thought about that particular subject, I knew no one better to have this conversation with than Pastor Cal. And I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. How you feeling, sir?
What's going on, Rashad? How you doing, my man?
Man, I'm doing well. It's good to see you. You're looking well.
Man, I am trying to look well and live well. Do
I
good
hear you on
and
that.
do good and do well.
Man, that's the truth. That's the truth, man. I do want to take a quick second, man, and let you know. And I'm it's been, man, it's been 5 years
Oh, come on.
since I was your assistant pastor. Um and I want to let you know that I'm just grateful for God's leading of you to call me to be your assistant pastor. I really do. And a lot happened in the 3 or so years that I was there. Um, but I look back at those years as some of the best years of my life and some of the best years of my ministry.
Oh my.
And I really do attribute that a lot to you and Miss Wendy, and the Progression family for just the love and the experience that you guys afforded me, man. It
That's
was
awesome.
awesome.
It was a good time, man. I couldn't when we talked about associates, I couldn't think of anybody better than you, man. I was like, man, and when you left, I'm like, okay, you're going, oh, that's how we're gonna do this.
No, man, it wasn't anything personal. It wasn't anything personal, man. It was just time. It was
No,
just
it
time.
yeah, I get that. I get that. But yeah, but it was our pleasure. And people still miss you, man.
Man, and I miss the Progression family deeply. I miss Atlanta deeply.
Oh, right, yeah, right.
Dothan, I love Dothan too, but Dothan isn't quite Atlanta, Georgia. It's not quite the same,
All right.
but we press on, man. So we're here and we're talking about living the rested life. For some people, they may be unfamiliar, but this idea of experiencing the Sabbath blessing on a daily basis. Let's just kind of start right there, man. Um, when I say Sabbath, and some people may not know this, but you are theologically, you are not just by title a pastor. You are a trained pastor, an experienced pastor. And if I'm not mistaken, man, you have almost 30 years, if not over 30 years of pastoral
Yeah,
experience.
yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, man. I think yeah, 30 at least 30 years
Yeah.
of experience of pastoral experience. I started pastoring in 1984. And
Wow.
so yeah. So with just a little time off, but I'd say probably cumulatively about that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah. So when I say Sabbath, Pastor Cal, what is Sabbath? What has your journey taught you about Sabbath?
Well, coming up in a somewhat of an orthodox, having an orthodox understanding of Sabbath and a literal biblical understanding of it, where it was a period of time. Now, I don't. I'm going to be a little offensive, I'm sure.
Do
Where
that.
it
Do
was a
that.
specific period of time. Um, I guess over time and life and experience, I found that Sabbath is not a block of time.
Mm,
Sabbath is a condition. It is a spiritual condition. It's something you enter into.
mm,
It is it is a lifestyle. And for me, if I cannot experience Sabbath in 7 days a week,
hmm.
it's very difficult to experience it, just that one block
Yeah.
uh, of time. So for me, it's become sort of a life experience, living in Sabbath as opposed to worshiping on Sabbath.
Ah.
Yeah.
Man, and I love the phraseology you used. It twofold. First of all, I think that a lot of people do get stuck in that idea that Sabbath is a block of time
Yeah.
and not a lifestyle. And I think that that's significant because there are things that people experience, and I think it's almost a mental block at the same time. There are things that they experience during that block of time that they really should be experiencing all week long throughout their whole lives.
Right. Right.
And you got to break out of that. You really do. You really, really do.
I
So
can agree more. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
no, and that's the idea of this podcast, of this conversation, that we're trying to inform and educate people on this rested life. Was for you, and this is more personal for you, was there a time where you kind of transitioned out of it being a block and more of a lifestyle? Can you kind of recall if there wasn't, or were you always in that lifestyle rhythm?
No, absolutely not. I mean, when you're trained and and indoctrinated
Yeah.
to, to believe one way, it's very difficult um, to reorient your thinking. My understanding was for a long time that at a certain period, for me, it was sundown Friday became Sabbath,
Mm,
and then sundown Saturday, Sabbath ended. And I lived that way until I had some experiences with God, personal experiences with God, after college, where I kept seeing that, that people who, how can I say this, man? There were people who were worshiping on Sabbath,
hmm.
and then after Sabbath, they were no longer worshiping.
Mm,
People were living righteously on Sabbath, and then after Sabbath, they were no longer living that way. And that caused, some cognitive dissonance for me. And not that I found myself to be any kind of, ultra holy person, but I did want some sort of spiritual consistency in my life,
yeah.
because I felt like I was being hypocritical otherwise, to try to tell people, hey, look, the Sabbath is this, I have to be this way and during this period of time. It's akin to going to church, partying on Friday night and going to church Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an incongruency there. And so the more I delved into it, and I came to the conclusion after studying the word that there should be nothing that I do during the week that I cannot do on Sabbath.
That's a word. Yes, sir.
There should be nothing. If I am living constantly in the presence of God, if I'm constantly living in His rest, there should be nothing that I do during the week. I shouldn't be only holy 24 hours a day, and then 24 hours during the week, and then the rest of the time I'm doing what I want. Wow, okay, Sabbath's over. Hey, let's party. So
Right.
it has to be, for me. It had to be something more. Now, here's where my consternation came in, because okay, fine. I want to be me. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be this fake holy person.
Mm,
Because I remember one time I was at a church, I was pastoring a church, and I went to visit one of my church members on Sabbath. And as I walked up to her door, man, I heard music. and it wasn't, it wasn't Amazing Grace. It wasn't. I mean, she was. I think it was. I think it was the Whispers. I can't remember the Isley Brothers or something.
Right, right.
It was blow. She was blowing up the neighborhood. But when I came, I knocked on the door. She saw who it was. Music went off. Boom, 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 boom. Everything shut down. Open the door. She holy. And I said, and I told her, I said, you don't have to be that way, because look, if it's not good enough for you to listen to on Sabbath, then you shouldn't listen to it the rest of the week, and vice versa. If you feel okay listening to it during the week, then hey, if God is pleased with it during the week, he should be pleased with it on Sabbath. The only difference is that Sabbath is a physical rest. Okay? What I've done, and oh God, I don't know how deep you want me to go into this, Rashad.
Take us all the
I
way
don't know
there,
how
sir.
deep. Look, what I've come to realize, and they might, they can't cast me off the church because of my church. But when I came to realize that when I look at the Ten Commandments and when God gave us the Sabbath, when God gave us Sabbath rest, the Sabbath was actually given to the Jewish nation after they had been in 450 years of slavery and captivity in Egypt. And after that captivity, God brought them out. And the people who went into Egypt were not the same people who came out of Egypt. The ones who went into Egypt had a tradition. They understood certain things. They remembered God after 450 years of slavery and being reconditioned out of their religion and working 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. They came out and they did not understand Sabbath rest. So God says, I want you now to remember your Sabbath rest.
Wow,
okay?
wow.
That was for the Jewish nation. And y'all ain't ready for this. That was for the Jewish nation.
Right.
Them to remember the Sabbath rest. It was never meant for them to have this sort of ritualistic thing where they worshiped the Sabbath.
Yeah.
They were supposed to re-enter the rest, and that day was sort of like a spark, was sort of like a primer. It was sort of like an ignition for them to sort of start their rest over again. It was never meant for that to be the only rest. It was supposed to be a lifelong rest, a lifestyle, a condition of rest, not necessarily just a day.
Yeah.
That's how. So that brought me into this place, man, where I'm like, you know what, God, if you're not pleased with me doing this on Sabbath, you can be pleased with me doing it on Sunday.
Wow.
Because you can be pleased with me doing it on Monday.
Right.
Because does God change on Sabbath? And all of a sudden, the requirements are different? No, he's still God. He doesn't change. Scripture says that God doesn't change. So am I supposed to change?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I truly believe, I think you're setting somebody free who's listening as we speak. And it's interesting because in a previous conversation, it dawned on me that even biblically, the Sabbath, of course, is first, we first encounter it in Genesis chapter 2, where God rested from his work. But we don't encounter the Sabbath again until Exodus chapter 16. You're talking like thousands. And it's in the context, like you said, it's in the context of the children of Israel coming out of Egyptian slavery. And the first encounter in Exodus chapter 16 is not the commandment either.
No, it's not.
It is God's direction for their managing of the manna, which says that the Sabbath, and this is where I kind of want to bridge the conversation, the Sabbath was never about church. The Sabbath was never about a block of time, and I like that phraseology. It was about life, because that manna showed up 7 days a week, but there was one day in order to teach them how to respond it was supposed to teach them how their relationship, how their lifestyle was supposed to be. The Sabbath, their first encounter with the Sabbath after slavery was reimagining, remolding their minds into how to live and how to trust. And it's huge. It is absolutely huge. So
it is.
Go ahead.
No, imagine you mentioned that Genesis text, about, and then the next mention is Exodus 16. look at the time that elapsed.
Come on now.
We're talking about an entire destruction of the world, man,
Right.
by flood.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about from that destruction of the world to rebuilding, and then there was Abraham after that. I mean, Abraham, and then after Abraham, he had a child named Isaac, and then he had a child named Jacob, and then he had, I mean, come on, he had. It was just it's crazy, man. Then
Yeah.
after all that time, here comes Israel.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the 12 tribes of Israel. Here comes. They had 12 sons. It's just so much time and so much had elapsed that and then all of a sudden here we have God delivering them and telling them, hey, look, remember the Sabbath. Wait a minute.
Mhm.
But were they keeping it before? What were they doing before? There's no record of how they kept it before. There's no
Wow.
what happened before. It was just a time of living in rest.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, that's all it was.
yeah. Yeah. So, so this rest, it sounds to me, and I'm in agreement with you that this rest is supposed to be available 7 days a week, not just one
Right,
day, not just Sunday, not just during the weekend.
right.
that this rest is supposed to be available rather 7 days a week. So where does church fit in all of that? Because we have so many people who come from and walk different walks of life, and some people believe there's no God. Some people believe that God is a construct, that Jesus is a construct. You have people who don't who go to church every week, every opportunity they can. Even now during a pandemic, they're watching every stream possible. And then you have people who refuse to ever go anywhere near organized religion whatsoever. So it's like, where does church fit in entering into this rest that you talk about? Because it sounds amazing, but where does
Right.
church fit?
Well, church, the ecclesia. When you talk about church, are we talking about the organized structure, or are we talking about the actual ecclesia? Because if
Mm,
you're talking about the ecclesia, the called out ones, the ones who've been called out of darkness and into his light, those people who actually comprise the church are simply people who have had sort of a divine epiphany of who God is. These are people who are not necessarily a part of a religion. I
mm.
mean, we're meeting online now. We have church every week, you know,
Right.
and we haven't stepped foot in a building since March.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's church, and we still are a church. We consider ourselves a church. We talk about church, because we are a body of believers, and we've been questioning and thinking about how can we maintain this, because it's kind of cool, to be able to
Right.
just,
Right.
you know, just do this and still, come together for fellowship. So I believe that the rest is an individual rest. It's a spiritual rest. It's something that you have to enter into individually. The church
Mm,
is for fellowship. The church is
mm.
for fellowship. The church is for encouragement. The church is to build you up. But you can have church anytime, man. You can have
Uh,
church anytime and anywhere. You don't have to have church to have Sabbath.
Come on now. Wow. Wow.
You just don't. You don't have to have church to have Sabbath. You don't have to have church to enter into Christ's rest. You don't have to. What is that text? I can't. Let me find it. What is that text? Oh man.
What do you paraphrase it? Let's see if I
Uh,
can.
yeah. He that will enter into his rest has ceased from his works. Oh my God. Where is it?
Hebrews 4.
Hebrews. Look at you, preacher.
Man, we do the
Um,
best we can.
Hebrews, Hebrews 4, right. And if you want to, oh my God, yeah. Therefore, while the promise of entering into this rest still holds and is offered today, let us be afraid to distrust it, lest any of you should think he has come too late or has come short of it. For indeed, it goes on, yada yada. Where is it? Oh yeah. For he who has believed, adhered to, and trusted and relied on God do enter into that rest, in accordance with this declaration that those who did not believe should
Mm.
not enter, when he said, as I swore by my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. And this he said, although his works have been completed and prepared and waiting for all who would believe from the foundation of the world. For in a certain place he said this about the seventh day. And this is crazy, man.
Yeah.
And God rests on the seventh day from all his works, and they forfeited their part. They forfeited their part in this passage, and they said, "They shall not." And he said, "They shall not enter into my rest."
My Lord.
What?
Right.
What is he saying here, man?
Oh boy.
Y'all ain't ready. And he's saying that he's telling Israel, he's telling them that they shall not enter into his rest, because what they was doing was by works. It was not faith-based, it was works-based. He said, but no, that's not the rest that I'm seeking. That's not what I want you to do, man. It's a spiritual rest.
Wow.
The kind of rest that I have, Rashad, is different from the kind of rest you have. Just think of it. Just look. You might can survive on 8 hours, 5 hours of sleep. I need a good 8, 9.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because our rest,
I hear you.
Different. Our rest is different, and in the same way with God, man, the way I enter into rest is going to be different than the way you enter into rest, because my relationship with Him is different than your relationship with Him. But everyone has to find their own rest, have to find their own way of entering into it. But I mean, it's a lot.
It is a lot, and I think that is a point that should be well taken. That however you rest is very personal and unique to you. That you have to be very cautious about trying to replicate or duplicate somebody else's rest, because you're a unique person. You have a unique makeup. That's amazing. I believe that it is holistic, that it goes beyond the physical. Even I believe that the spiritual, and that's really what we're talking about, that the spiritual does impact and affect everything else. But I think it's mental, emotional, physical, social even. And I think to a degree, though, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, that the church building and showing up there, that's a fellowship thing. And the fact of the matter is, the relationships that you create there, forge there, can either add to or take away from your rest. And yeah, man. So it's worth noting that rest is connected to fellowship. But when it comes to church, you can rest without church, but you can either add to or take away from your rest with the church that you go to.
You sure can. That's why I'm just looking back at that text again. That's why he says, that God did set a definite day. And he says, and again, God now is setting a definite day, and it says in the Amplified, a new today. And he's given us another opportunity of securing that rest, because they didn't secure it before. So now he's giving you another opportunity, and he says that, saying through David after so long a time, and the words already quoted, today if you hear my voice, don't harden your hearts. And so it's like God is saying, okay, fine, y'all screwed that one up. Now I'm giving you another chance to enter into the rest. Okay, this is a whole new rest I'm trying to convey to you, a whole new understanding of rest that I'm trying to convey. So today, if you hear my voice, just don't be stuck in the mud, man. I mean, don't harden your hearts. I mean, listen and enter into. Man, I have not had so much freedom in my life that I've had since I've learned how to rest. Since I've learned that I don't have to be bound by what people feel I should be doing. That I don't have to follow. It's funny, because I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was telling me, he said, man, you've always walked by the beat of a different drum. And I said, it's not an intentional thing. It's just that I've always had to follow wherever I thought God was leading me. And I've never actually listen to other people's opinions. I wanted to see, what is it that God is saying? Um, and so I can speaking for me, this is what God is telling me, that my rest is in him, and it's highly personal and it's highly individualized, and as long as I am resting in him, I have the church, we fellowship, we come together, we do things for the community, we have a purpose, we're trying to change some things, we're trying to empower some people, we're
Right.
trying to make sure some folk are, I mean, we've had people that they gave large sums of money just so we can
Mm,
help other people. I mean, we were giving out $1,000 a month to at least to one member. You know, we were just
beautiful.
doing
Beautiful.
things, but this that has nothing to do with rest.
Hmm.
That has nothing to do with the spiritual rest. That's all church stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear
You know,
you.
that's all church stuff, man. That's ain't and individually, everybody needs to find their rest in Jesus.
Mm, mm.
So,
I love it. I
so
love
that
it. I love it. Man, I would almost disagree with you, man. I think you're passing on rest to somebody. You give me $1,000, I'm gonna breathe a little better. I'm just saying. But that's a conversation for a different time,
yeah,
man. Let's go ahead and wind down in this way. You are living the rested life, and I think it is a journey. You mature in it, but wherever you are right now, just from where I'm standing, and I'm not the expert on it, but I see you living the rested life, even in comparison to 5 years ago when I was with you. There is a depth to your rest now that wasn't there when I was there. So if you could say something to somebody to help them enter into that rested life, what would you say?
yeah. You know, it would be that, you know, you rest is sort of a, it's kind of a, it's divine rest is kind of a sort of a kind of a conundrum, because it's kind of like you enter into rest by entering into your purpose. It's like when,
Yes. Yeah.
when you are finally doing the thing that God has called you to do, and you're finally entering into that place where you know He wants you to be, that's where you find the most peace, and that's when you find the most rest. That's where you find, so it's sort of like a respite for your soul. It's sort of like
Yeah.
a a quiet place where you can. I started this some years ago when I used to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning. Not voluntarily, like God woke me up every morning, and I used to pray face down in the foot on the ground, you know, just talking to God. And every morning for years and years, I did that because I was seeking something. And I think what I was seeking was rest. What I was seeking was to find my purpose. I was seeking to find my place in God. And it was a important thing for me. And that actually caused me to God led me through some steps to where I am right now. And to enter into your rest, you have to enter into your purpose. You have to find out, what is it that God, what space is He calling me to occupy in this world? What what plan is there that
Mhm.
He has for my life? I mean, and you know, it's more than just, I don't know what, I don't know. It could be anything, but whatever it is that God has called you to, because I can't tell people what God has called them to. You have to find that out from through your own personal journey. But whatever it is, man, if you once you make up in your mind that I am going to God, okay, let me put it this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I spoke a sermon a couple of weeks ago talking about the kingdom of God, and how when Jesus sent out his disciples, he told them to, you know, heal the sick, raise the dead, et cetera, et cetera. And when you go into people's houses, he said, I'm sending you to the lost sheep of Israel. And when you go to their houses, they receive you, then great. But if they don't receive you, shake the dust off your feet, right? But he
Right.
said, the
Yeah.
message I want to give them to you. That's the message I want you to give to them. Is that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Okay. What? The kingdom of heaven is at hand. What does that mean? It wasn't talking about the chronological immediacy of the kingdom.
Mm,
It was talking about the availability of the kingdom,
come on now. Yeah. Yeah.
not the future kingdom, but he was saying the kingdom, God's authority, God's basileia, God's rule, his rulership, God's authority. He was saying, because these are the lost sheep in Israel, go let them know that the kingdom of heaven is right here for their taking.
Beautiful.
Because they're lost. Now, we think that being lost means that you're beyond redemption. But no, being lost means you haven't found your way. It means you don't have your GPS anymore. It means you've thrown away the map. So once God brings you this thing and says, look, man, here's the kingdom. It's right at hand. It's right within your grasp. It's right here. And he says, well, how did they convey that? And what was it about them that, I mean, what was he telling them? He was saying, if they are willing, if they feel like they're deserving, if they are deserving, he said, then let the kingdom come to them. Let your peace come to them. But if they're not deserving, and when I looked up that word deserving means weight. It means when they feel they have value that's worth the kingdom. When they feel they have as much value as the kingdom has. When they feel like they still want it, they feel like it's still weighty to them. You will never find your purpose until you realize your value. You will never find your purpose until you realize that the kingdom of heaven is right here in your grasp.
That's a word. Yeah.
All you got to do is reach out and grab it. A lot of times we're begging for God to do things for us. We're asking God, we're begging God and saying, look, what do you want from me? The kingdom of heaven is right here, man. I'm going to tell you something, Shad. Man, I struggled for years, dude. I struggled for years. And I mean, I pastored, you know my church story and what have you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's finally when I decided, you know what, God, screw all this stuff. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to follow what I want to follow. How do I know it's God? Because if it's in my heart, and God says to give you the desires of your heart, which means the desires of my heart are what God gave me. He gave me my desires. My desires are what he gave me. So if I desire it, if it's good, that's something God gave me. I knew what I wanted to do. So I said, okay, God, this is what I'm going to do. Forget everything. I'm going to do this. And as soon as I made up that mind and I started grasping onto the kingdom that was right at hand, right in my grasp, stuff started happening, man. Doors open. Man, look at this, dude.
No, I know.
Now I'm doing things that I never even thought I'd do.
Yeah.
People I never even thought I'd reach. Nearly 2 million people every week is watching me, and I'm getting emails all the time, folk telling me, wow, thank God, man, you're helping me to see God. I ain't never mentioned Jesus' name on TV.
Come on now.
Never mentioned his name. But it's not necessary because I'm walking in that purpose. And when you walk in that purpose, man, God speaks through you. Okay?
Yeah.
And when that is happening, man, it's like it's the most peaceful place in the world. Yeah. My son asked me, he said, Dad, what would happen now that there's some things happening in your life and everything? Says, how do you feel about Jesus coming? And I said, man, what are you talking about? If Jesus came tomorrow, I'm like, take everything.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm in a rest space.
Come on, now.
If God comes, look, if Jesus cracks it, take my house, take my cars, I don't care. It's done.
Yeah.
That deep to me. Why? Because I'm going from this rest to that rest.
Man.
I'm good.
Oh boy. That was powerful, sir. And I think that we gonna go ahead and land the plane on that one, because now it's we way up in the air, but we gonna land it right there. And I think that is so true. And I appreciate you articulating it in that way. And I love it. We actually just spoke to Dr. Samantha O'Bannon. She is a clinical psychologist. And through her conversation, we came to the place where we realized that it's not until you do what you're afraid to do that you begin to encounter rest, because you cannot truly rest if you're not exercising and walking in your purpose, man. It's you can't do it. You can go to church all you want.
You're living in anxiety. You're living in anxiety. You're living in an unfulfilled life. You're living in this constant frustration because you're not doing the thing that you were designed to do.
Wow.
It's no life, man. So
yeah, no, you that's it. That's it right there, man. But for those who are listening, we may not know you personally, but you did not stumble across this conversation for no reason. And this is the push for you to go and do what you are meant to do. I love Pastor Cal. I love that you said that Jesus put you on TV and you haven't said his name yet, and that's okay. You want to know why? Because in all honesty, there is a wisdom that comes in walking with your purpose where you realize that at just the right time, you'll
Yeah.
say what needs to be said to who it needs to be said to. If you try to push church in people's face, you will end up pushing them away from God.
Absolutely.
And you will actually remove yourself from the position that you need to be in order to be the greatest blessing possible. And Pastor Cal, you are a living, walking testimony of that very thing, man.
Praise
I don't
God.
know I don't know any pastors who have come from the path that you've come from and now have the influence, and that's a thing, the influence that you have. And truly only God blesses with influence, with that type of leadership. And I look forward to seeing you continue to prosper and for so many lives to be touched and changed through your journey, man.
We're gonna
Thank
get there together, man. We're gonna get there together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, thank you for joining us on The Rested Life. I hope that truly day by day that you enter into that rest, and that you, if you're afraid or not afraid, that you go after your purpose, because it is a indispensable journey, an indispensable chasing that has to happen in order for you to enter into that rest. Take care, everyone, and much love.